everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bella and I love all things design and DIY. My imagination has been running absolutely rampant recently in the home decor department, and so today I want to go through some of the things that I've been pinning on Pinterest, some of the interior designers that I've been discovering, and just some home elements that I absolutely love and I hope you will love also. If you're into a kind of traditional but eclectic sort of really colorful, lots of prints and colors and just a whole bunch of fun going on in a room, then I think this video will be right up your alley. So let's get started. But before we do that, if you're not subscribed already, then you can do that down below if you want to know every time I post on here. I make all sorts of videos about home decor, sewing, fashion, design, lifestyle, DIY, gardening, all of that stuff. So if that sounds like anything you're into, then you can subscribe down below. So I will say all of these spaces I found on Pinterest. Pinterest, as I say in all of these like inspo videos I do, Pinterest is a little bit tricky sometimes to find the original source of an image, but in the description box down below, I'm going to include a link to the original post from Pinterest. So it might not be the actual original image source. For most of them, I think it is. So if you go visit the links down below, there's tons of different interior designer profiles and websites down there that I think you will absolutely love. So if you like a specific style in one of these images, then check the description down below and you might be able to see more from that designer. Starting off with an absolutely beautiful textile detail. These pillowcases, can you believe it? Wait, this is either a pillowcase that is made to completely complement the top sheet. No, I can't even describe what this is. So this is either a pillowcase made to mimic the look of the bedspread that almost doubles as a bed skirt, which is so cool in and of itself. But if this is a separate pillowcase that's just made with a massive flared skirt with piping on the side, then that is so amazing. Or what it could also be is the bedspread folded under and over the pillow that's already on the bed. Either way, I absolutely love it. If you learn one thing about the kind of home design that I love through this video, it's coordinating colors. I just love when you see a space like this where the headboard, the lampshade, the accent on the lampshade, the bedspread, the accent pillow, everything is in this beautiful like butter yellow. I absolutely love this. I love the tiny little stripe on the bedding. I think that is super traditional. Pairing that with the accent pillow that's a little bit more geometric and like bohemian, I really like that sort of mix. I always love a sconce on the side of a bed. I just think it's so chic. It always reminds me of like a really beautiful hotel. So I love that detail, and I love how simple and streamlined but like still full of character the bedside is with this. Everything is beautiful. Look at this. Oh my gosh. I'm really into these like kind of citrusy, celery sort of tones. That whole color family is amazing and something that I've never really worked with a lot, so I really am interested to see if I can incorporate some of these details into my spaces in the future. It might just be the shadow playing tricks on my eyes, but I think that the bottom half of this wall is in just a slightly darker hue than the top, which I think is a really fun detail. And look at this sconce. Look at it, just so fun. I also really like how dark the floor is here. It looks like hardwood, but the stain is so dark that it makes it really modern, coming against the really like traditional woodwork and the kind of historic color choices. I think any use of color, especially something bold like this in a space, can give a house a little bit more of like a historic sort of feel, just because we've moved so far away from color in home design, and that's just sad to me personally because I love color. But I think that every detail that's been added in aside from the paint is very sleek, very modern, and it just mixes perfectly with what we have going on in the walls. This is my print dream. I love, love, love the juxtaposition of the stripe on the wall, the scrolly floral on the headboard, not to mention the shape of the headboard. I really like having something geometric on the wall behind, and then having the headboard be so curved, not only in the shape of it itself, but then all the shapes within the fabric that's used, how they're all very scrolly and romantic. And then the accent pillow used on here is, again, very geometric, but I like that it's in a pink, so it kind of softens it up a little bit more. I love the lamp tying in the pink and the blue, and I like the randomness of the gallery wall behind. I think it makes it a little bit less stuffy, because all of these elements by themselves might feel a little bit too traditional maybe for some people. That's what I sometimes struggle with my style, is I don't want anything to look too formal, so I try to add a little bit of like humor or like playfulness to very traditional elements in the way that I combine them, and I think that this space does that perfectly. I really like this space. I think it displays kind of more organic materials in a little bit more of like an upscaled formal way. This to me looks like a beautiful boutique hotel. I like that it kind of has like mid-century feelings to it, but then it's also so like organic and bohemian, but then traditional at the same time. I think this is the perfect marriage of all of those things together. I love when I see rooms like this, because any single item out of this room I don't think would ever be my first choice, but then seeing them all together, I am in love with it. So I think that's a great thing to keep in mind with your own home. Don't just assume that things won't work together. Actually try as many different combinations as you can. Move your furniture from room to room. You never know what kind of combination you're going to come across that you absolutely love, that you never would have thought of unless you just let your mind go and start moving things around. I love looking at rooms like this where I don't necessarily think I would have chosen any of those things, and trying to figure out what it is about the way that those things have been combined that makes me love the space. I really like this for like kind of a more laid back, like modern Scandinavian take on my sort of style. I rarely see like all white or all neutral spaces that I really love, but I love this. Again, an element of humor, this old oil painting that's mostly covered in black paint with a harsh line, I think is so fun. It gives the space that contrast that it really needs, mirroring that sort of geometric print in the pillows and the curtains. I love. And then the casualness of just having a stack of books as a bedside. I love that. It's saying we have great taste, but we don't really take this space too seriously, and I couldn't be more in love with that concept. This is one color combination that you might see a few times in this video. This really beautiful like deep apple red with robin's egg blue is just something that I've been obsessed with recently. Again, looking at this picture and every single individual element, would you necessarily think to pair them together? Maybe not, but I love spaces like this that are very eclectic and yet have little elements that mirror each other. So this table with a red base mirrored in the red lamp on top of it kind of anchors this vignette and makes it feel a little bit less random. Not that I have a problem with random, but it just makes it look a little bit more intentional, which I absolutely love. I talk about sewing a lot on this channel, and if you're somebody who sews and loves home design, you have to marry the two concepts, because coordination of textiles is something that, if you don't make them yourself, can be so expensive. So just like the previous picture we looked at, how the pillows match the drapes, getting something like that made custom is going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Making it yourself is way more affordable and very easy. So my biggest tip for creating this cohesion would be working with textiles, and you can also achieve the same effect with paint. If you have a textile that you absolutely love and you want to use in your space, take it into a paint store and match a chip to it and just get a sample. Just get like a little thing of it for less than $10, just so you have it. Say you have a beautiful antique lamp and you recover the shade in a fabric that you love. Get that fabric matched to a paint chip, get yourself a sample, and then when the perfect bedside table comes along that you want to paint to coordinate with your lampshade, you already have the paint and you can just get it done in a day. And then you have this amazing upscale eclectic look that's still so pulled together and will make people be like, how did you find the perfect bedside table to match with your lampshade? But don't get too matchy because you don't want to look scary. This is obviously a very tricky balance to have. You don't want to get too matchy, but just having those little elements that make people go, how'd you do that? I love that. This space I'm obsessed with. This looks so cozy and beautiful. I really love this kind of seafoamy color in the bookcases. One element I noticed that I really love in spaces like this, specifically with like library shelves, things hanging on them. I love like this, how this has sconces wired into it. You could also just do this with plug-in sconces. I think that actually even makes it look more casual, which is fun. Something I also love seeing is when people hang artwork right on top of their bookshelves. I think, again, it just looks so not serious. It's like, I have so many amazing pieces of art and I just ran out of wall space, so I just threw it on this bookshelf. I love that. I really like the mix of all the blue tones in this room. It's really subtle, but I think it just goes perfectly together. And then looking beyond this room into the next one, I like that that's all in very pink, romantic, warm tones. I just like the contrast between the two of them. They're all in pastels, so it's still quite subtle contrast, but you still have a nice amount of variation. I love everything about this room. I think it looks so cozy, and I want to sit in there and read a book. I really like this room for a few reasons. First of all, can we talk about gingham walls? I need a gingham wall one day. How adorable would that be in a bathroom? I need it. I love that the gingham is in a neutral tone, so it makes such a statement, being quite a busy pattern, but it's in a brownish beige, so it's not really commanding too much attention, which allows for the spotlight to be more so on the pops of color, in my opinion. This really beautiful like chartreusey green and then the fuchsia, those are two of my favorite colors right now, and so of course I absolutely love seeing them together, and gingham is one of my favorite prints, so this room can do no wrong in my opinion. This is another one of those spaces that is very romantic and feminine, and then we have some very harsh lines coming against that, which I love. So the bed curtain, for example, very flowy, very romantic, but then the bed frame that it's hanging on is very angular, very simple, kind of primitive. It's not doing too much. It's just serving a function, and I like that contrast against the curtain. Then we have more very straight lines in these window treatments. I love this pop of orange. I'm such an orange fan, and this has to be one of my favorite combinations, is this bright orange with a soft pink. I also love that we're going very traditional and then really laid back in some other areas. So the ease of the bed curtains and this bench that's at the bottom of the bed is very spindly, it's very organic and a little bit more laid back. Paired with the rug that's underneath here too, I really like that all of these things combined make the space feel a little bit more easy and casual. Okay, I absolutely had to talk about this because as a seamstress, I just love these cushions. I think it just looks so fun, and again, kind of has a little bit of humor. It's not taking itself too seriously. See the little hint of coral in this fabric? This is one of those instances that would be perfect to start with the fabric and then work your way backwards to the paint, because you really can match paint to any fabric, but it's harder to match a fabric to a paint if you want to be really coordinated like this. So I love that the wall highlights that little coral accent in the upholstery. More coral. I'm really having an appreciation for coral lately. This is a color that I've never really been that into, but something about it I just have been loving. Something that I love about this space is that the coordination of color is so subtle, But again, the fact that you're coordinating the color makes it feel so upscale. I love this style of hanging art. I don't know what you call it, but especially if you like a really like maximalist style, hanging frames like this just gives you more opportunity for more texture and more design elements in whatever you choose to hang it with, whether that's chain or rope, whatever it might be. And then whatever sort of fixture you use to hang it off the wall. I can't see what these are specifically because they're from such a distance, but I think that that would be a really great opportunity to use some really unique hooks or something. There's so much amazing hardware out there on Etsy or at antique markets and little like boutique home stores that I think you could get really creative with this and just pick something amazing to complement whatever art you're hanging. I think if all of the design elements that I love could be married into one space, it would just about be this kitchen. I love the amount of wood in here. I think that wood just makes sense in a kitchen. It's very organic, very easy, casual. Again, my favorite kinds of spaces. I don't like kitchens that look too clean, like you shouldn't make a mess in them because that's what kitchens are for. So I love how inviting this looks. It just makes me want to cook, which I think is a successful kitchen design. And I'm really into this fun pop of color on the wall, still subtle and keeps the space feeling bright and open and a little bit airy, which is really nice coming against the wood. And I love a rug in a kitchen. This is that beautiful pairing of red and robin's egg. Again, I love this hallway. The thing that I love most about this space is the amount of contrast it has. I really like the fact that they took advantage of this ceiling and painted it in a statement color. A hallway ceiling doesn't really cover that much surface area, so it's a really nice way to kind of make a statement without really being too committed to it, because you also don't spend a lot of time in a hallway. So I think if you're into a very fun, maximalist, colorful style, that a hallway is a great place to do that. If you're just kind of dipping your toe in the water of color, I think maybe go with somewhere you don't spend the most time and kind of work your way up to spaces that you actually spend most of your time in. And I love how crisp the white walls look in comparison to the ceiling. And then the doors and trim, even though it isn't a pastel, it still looks so punchy because it's paired next to a very stark white, which I love. I love everything about this room, but one thing that I specifically want to talk about is wallpaper on the ceilings, especially if you have pitched ceilings like this. I don't know what the rest of this ceiling looks like, but I know with pitched ceilings in certain rooms, sometimes it can be difficult to decide where the wall color should stop and where the ceiling should start. If you want to start it where the room starts to pitch, or if you want to start it where the ceiling is flat. But I think that this is such a fun detail if you have like a small attic room or something like that, or even a closet that has a pitched ceiling, maybe something smaller so that it's not the biggest job in the world and it's not too expensive. But I'm just obsessed with this. I love the colors of this whole room. I love that the print on the ceiling is neutral, so it's quite busy, but it's not drawing all the attention up, so that you still get to focus on all of the beautiful colors and textiles on the lower half of this room. I love it. More red and robin's egg. This is just fun. Mainly what I love about this room is that it's so ridiculously formal. This sofa looks like it's straight out of any grandma's house. I love that. But what I especially love is that it's paired with posters of vegetables on the wall. That just makes the whole room feel like you don't need to take it as seriously, which is my favorite. This room is something a little bit more sleek, a little bit more mid-century. I love these blue tones. They are so stunning. I love a dark glossy trim, similar to one of the first spaces we talked about, even though the other pieces in this space are a lot more sleek and modern feeling. Pairing it with a really bold color choice is just gonna make it have that like traditional sort of feel without being like stodgy. I absolutely love the whole mood of this room. The pink paired with the charcoal and then the lighter hue of pink on the ceiling is just speaking to me. I love this space. Pink is one of my absolute favorite colors, and so I really love when it's used in rooms, but specifically when it comes against something really crisp like this deep, deep gray, I'm obsessed with that. And again, something that I'm drawn to in a lot of these rooms, I really like how organic the sort of textiles and different accents in this space are. Very simple, but just make it feel more laid back. This space is a lot more maximalist. I really love it because it looks actually lived in. Some of these rooms look a little bit too perfect. Obviously, I know that's just for the photo, but I love that this room just feels comfortable. It has so many formal elements with all the woodwork and everything, but there's something about it that just has this ease. It feels inviting. I think it's all of the books and art. I just feel like I would sit down here and not want to leave for hours. I think that this is a perfect example of taking functional items. For example, if you have a big book collection, turning that into a part of the room design. It just gives the room more life. It feels like someone actually spends all their time there reading, relaxing, and so I think that that feeling just comes across. I want to talk about this space specifically for this chaise. Look at the scalloped edge. Oh my god, that's all. I just love this. This chaise is what I would put in my dream walk-in closet. Like, could you imagine anything more perfect? No. Again, in this space, we're working with these really like smoky, rich pink tones, which I love. I think if you love pink, but you want it to be a little bit more serious and mature, go for these like dusty tones, and it's gonna make it feel like it's not juvenile. I also really love that this artwork is set off center on the bed. Again, just makes it look a little bit less serious, a little bit less formal, but the contrast is that the piece itself is very formal. That is all I'm going to talk about today, but I hope this gave you a little bit of home design inspiration. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like down below, and as always, you can subscribe if you want to know every time I upload here, and I will see you back here next time.